According to the Mail on Sunday, the Duke of Sussex is chatting with people, this is a quote, from his old life and potentially plotting his return to the UK. Now, it's suggested Harry could spend more time in the UK to repair his relationship, perhaps with his dad, and potentially look at returning, at least partially, to some of their royal life. Would you like to see Harry come home? Nina?
Absolutely, of course. I would like to see Harry come back if he wanted to, but I would not want him to come back and be unhappy. As I've said many times and over the last few years, Harry and Meghan were pushed out by the royal family because they were more popular than William and Kate.
I think that's why.
They were more popular than William and Kate, and that could not be allowed to continue. And so they were pushed out of this country and pushed out of the royal life that they knew. I think that the royal family now is so sadly depleted. King Charles is battling cancer. William and Kate are in a tricky situation because Kate is also battling cancer. I know Charles had talked for many years about slimming down the monarchy, and it's been slimmed down for them. We have nobody. They keep trying to put people up.
All right, family. Let's talk about what we just watched, because if you blinked, you might have missed one of the rarest events on British television. Someone telling the truth about Prince Harry and Meghan Sussex without whispering, hedging, or apologizing for it. Nina did not tiptoe. She did not sugarcoat. She didn't wrap it up in palace-approved language. She said it plainly, calmly, and devastatingly clearly. Harry and Meghan were pushed out because they were more popular than William and Kate. And the collective gasp you could almost hear through the screen, that wasn't shock. That was recognition, because deep down, everybody knows it. Let's rewind for a second, because the UK media loves to pretend history started 5 minutes ago. When Harry and Meghan stepped onto the royal stage together, something shifted. And I don't mean new outfits or fresh energy. I mean the entire global perception of the monarchy. Suddenly, crowds doubled. Coverage exploded. Younger audiences tuned in. International press paid attention again. And most importantly, the warmth was real. It wasn't forced, it wasn't ceremonial, and it wasn't stiff. That was the problem. This institution does not reward authenticity, it punishes it, because authenticity is unpredictable, and unpredictability is the enemy of control. So when Nina says they were more popular, that's not opinion, that's math. Crowd sizes, engagement numbers, global polls, media reach, charitable impact. You don't need a conspiracy board and red string to figure this out. You just need eyes. And notice how quickly Storm jumped in with, "Oh, you think that's why?" That wasn't disbelief, that was discomfort. Because once you acknowledge that popularity played a role, the entire fairy tale collapses. Suddenly, it's not about duty or protocol or tradition. Suddenly, it's about jealousy, insecurity, and hierarchy preservation. And heaven forbid the spare outshine the heir. What Nina did next was even more important. She made it clear that she wouldn't want Harry to return to the UK if it meant being unhappy. That matters, because for years the narrative has been, Harry should come home, Harry should reconcile, Harry should fix things. Fix what? A system that broke him? A family that closed ranks when he asked for protection? A press machine that monetized his wife's pain like it was clickbait currency? Harry didn't leave because he wanted freedom. He left because he needed survival. And here's where the conversation gets deliciously ironic. Nina points out the current state of the royal family, and suddenly, everything Harry and Meghan warned about makes sense. A monarchy that is now visibly depleted, a king battling cancer, a princess battling cancer, an heir who looks like the stress has permanently fused to a spine, and a supporting cast so thin they're practically rotating appearances like a temp agency. This is the slimmed-down monarchy Charles talked about for years, except now it's not strategic, it's desperate. And the timing? Oh, the timing is comedy gold. Because suddenly, after years of smearing, mocking, leaking against, briefing against, and undermining Harry and Meghan, we're hearing whispers about Harry coming back, spending more time in the UK, repairing relationships, and returning partially to royal life. Let me translate that from palace speak to plain English. We're understaffed, underloved, and under pressure. That's it. That's the tweet. Now, let's address the elephant in the room, Meghan's Sussex, because notice something very interesting. Whenever these Harry return stories pop up, Meghan is either erased, minimized, or framed as the obstacle, as if Harry is a lost puppy being tempted back with a dog whistle. But Nina didn't do that. She didn't separate Harry from Meghan. She didn't frame him as confused or controlled. She acknowledged reality. They were pushed out together. Their success was joint, their popularity was joint, and their removal was joint. The problem was never Meghan alone. The problem was what Meghan represented: confidence, independence, global appeal, and a refusal to be small to make others comfortable. And the institution could not handle that. Let's also talk about how casually Nina dismantled the long-running myth that Harry chose to walk away from everything. No, he was boxed in, isolated, briefed against, offered zero protection while watching his wife be subjected to the same tactics that killed his mother. At some point, staying becomes the reckless choice. And yet, somehow, the same media that drove them out now wants a redemption arc, not for Harry and Meghan, but for the monarchy. They want Harry back like a spare battery you dig out of a drawer when the remote stops working. Too late. Because here's the part the UK media doesn't want to confront. Harry and Meghan don't need the monarchy. The monarchy might need them. They have built an independent life, independent income, independent global influence, independent charitable work, and most importantly, independence from a system that demanded silence while feeding them to the wolves. That's why Nina's comments hit so hard. She didn't romanticize a return. She didn't push a fairy tale reunion. She said something radical in royal commentary. Harry's happiness matters more than optics. When was the last time you heard that on British television? Exactly. And let's be honest, the idea that Harry could just pop back in part-time is laughable. You don't traumatize someone, deny them protection, leak against their spouse, and then act shocked when they don't want Sunday lunch at the palace. Reconciliation requires accountability, and we have yet to see any. No apologies, no admissions, no acknowledgement of wrongdoing, just vibes and press leaks. And Nina clocked that too. Her assessment of the royal family being sadly depleted wasn't cruel, it was factual. You can feel sympathy for individuals while still criticizing the structure. Both things can be true. And that level of nuance is something royal commentary desperately lacks. What we're witnessing now is not a comeback story, it's a consequence story. Actions have outcomes, smears have ripple effects, and when you push out the most dynamic, globally resonant members of your institution, you don't get to act surprised when the building starts echoing. So when people ask, would you like to see Harry come home? The real question is, home to what? To the same press pack that stalked his wife? To the same institution that prioritized hierarchy over humanity? To the same system that saw his pain as collateral damage? Harry didn't leave home, he rebuilt it. And Meghan Sussex? She didn't break the monarchy, she exposed its fragility. That's why moments like this clip matter, because every time someone like Nina speaks plainly, it chips away at the manufactured narrative. It reminds viewers that this wasn't some impulsive Hollywood escape. It was a calculated, necessary exit from a toxic environment. And the more the monarchy struggles, the clearer that becomes. So shout out to Nina for saying what so many won't, for refusing to pretend popularity doesn't matter in an institution obsessed with image, for acknowledging that Harry's well-being should come before palace convenience, and for reminding everyone that pushing people out has consequences, sometimes very public ones. To the squatties who've been here from the beginning, thank you. You see it. You've always seen it, and no amount of rewriting history is going to change that. Because the truth has a funny way of resurfacing, even on a morning talk show. And today, the truth spoke clearly.